Hello, YouTube. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Zypher Zone. Today, we'll be talking about the possibility of Zelda dying. I'm not joking. So I will be skipping the introductions today, but to really briefly talk about what's going on, the Mario 35th anniversary ended recently, and basically what it ended was Mario itself. Mario 3D All-Stars, whatever it was called, actually released some months ago, and they decided to take it down for no reason. People believe that it was to create demand and to have other people, rushing toward to get the game before it was taken out, because they would only be out for, say, 6 months or so, and honestly, that's probably the dumbest and, smartest, but most asshole-ish thing a company can do. Mario 3D All-Stars was a really lazy but really popular way of releasing Mario's previous titles, and doing what they did give themselves a lot of sales, but also disappointed many people who did not get a chance to get a copy of the game, including younger people who, let's say me, like 2 years ago, when I didn't have a job yet, I didn't have money coming in, therefore I could not have gotten the game. It would have sucked if I were in that situation for this situation, and the only way I can get a copy of that game now is if I want to pay some however much money you see on screen for an eBay listing. Now, while it may seem to be a real asshole-ish thing to have been done by Nintendo, it does actually make a lot of sense. They're only celebrating the Mario 35th anniversary for its anniversary, so having a title released temporarily for that event was a relatively smart thing to do, to have that title as like a memorable thing from that celebration. They did have the Mario 35, which is a very good, temporary title that you could play. I never personally played it, because I spent most of the Mario 35th not playing my Switch, but something like that, completely understandable. But when they found out that Mario 3D All-Stars was being taken from the eShop and not being shipped anywhere, you wouldn't be able to get it anywhere, people got mad. Understandably so. So now, me personally and many other people are beginning to wonder, are they going to do the same thing for Zelda? Because the Zelda 35th anniversary is coming out, is this year. So the question is, are they going to kill Zelda, just like they killed Mario? I think so. I mean, based off of what they've already done for Mario, they're probably going to do it again. Although they already did the first step of killing Zelda by revealing the release of the Skyward Sword HD. And I personally do not think I'll be picking the game up, mostly because I've heard nothing but really bad things about it. But what this kind of shows is that they're doing something for Zelda, but if they decide to go for a full Zelda 35, then there's obviously going to be something that's going to be limited, and people are going to be mad about it. So in this episode of Internet Gets Mad, what are they going to do that people are going to get mad about? Now, it's kind of obvious they're going to be doing some sort of collection of previous games. Skyward Sword was the last Zelda game to release prior to Breath of the Wild, and the only thing that released in between those games were the Skyward Sword and Wind Waker HD. So it's my belief, and many other beliefs, that they're going to be releasing some of the original 3D Zelda games as a Zelda 3D All-Stars of sorts. Now, there's a lot of backing up to this theory, because Mario did the same thing for their 35th anniversary, so why don't we do the same thing for Zelda? I like this. I like the idea of playing Ocarina of Time again. I love Ocarina of Time. In Majora's Mask, if they put that in there, I personally do not believe they'll put it in there, because they didn't put Mario Galaxy 2 inside of, 3D All-Stars. But the chances of them doing, like, say, Mario, today, keep saying Mario. The chances of them putting Ocarina of Time, Wind Waker, Twilight Princess, those 3 games together in one package, I'd love that. 100%. I've never played Twilight Princess or Wind Waker. I have played Ocarina of Time on the 3DS, so I'd pick it up. But the question is, would it die? Just like 3D All-Stars? Given the circumstances, I can pretty much guarantee that they will do that, just as they did with Mario 3D All-Stars. The problem with that is that the internet will again be outraged by Nintendo's choices. I mean, they already made several poor, business decisions over the past several years, and poor, subscription systems in the past several years. But at the end of the day, it is just doing Nintendo things, and Nintendo decides they're going to temporarily release a game or whatever for an anniversary towards something, and they've got another anniversary for one of their big IPs. Chances are they're going to do it again. I mean, when you really think about it, get down to the meat and beans of it, what are the chances of them releasing a collage of previous Zelda games and then actually letting us play it for a long period of time? The only reason they would allow us to have that game forever is if they re-released Mario 35 All-Stars or Mario 3D All-Stars or whatever and let us, keep it forever. They'd have to go back on their word, and then we would not be able to really trust them for what they say at all. The question then becomes, would we prefer them to take back on what they said for us to get games like that again? I mean, 3D All-Stars, I should have picked up a couple copies of the game and then sold it on, auctions and let people decide what they want to pay for it. I don't like the idea of scalpers selling it for thousands of dollars. Come on. What I would have done is I would have put an auction up and let them decide. If somebody wants to pay it for $60, pay $60. Somebody else wants it, hey, I want it for $80. I mean, I would have done that. Does it make me a bad person? No, but Nintendo is technically the one to blame because they're putting the game in such a high demand. And I work fast food. I need money. I should have done that. But the question is, if they were to go back on their limited release, how would the internet react? Would they be like, finally, we can keep these games? Or how about the people who spent extra money from the scalpers? How would they feel? If they waited, say, another month or 6 months, they would have gotten the game back. I don't think they'd be that happy. And I wouldn't be happy if I spent some $120 on a game that released again after us being told it was going to be gone. Nintendo's in a tight spot. They're going to get a lot of backlash from re-releasing 3D All-Stars, even though we didn't want it to go away to begin with. It's them at all putting that limitation on their game will hurt them if they ever decide to bring it back. And that's why I think the Zelda 35th anniversary is screwed. So the reason I think that it's screwed is that they can't go back on the Mario 3D All-Stars. And so since they can't go back on that, they'll be forced to keep some sort of similar pattern with the 35th anniversary for Zelda. Otherwise, if they decide to have that collage of games longer term and there forever, people are going to wonder why they didn't do the same damn thing for Mario 35. But if they decide to go back on Mario 35 and then people give them a bunch of hate for ever putting a time limit on the game, Nintendo's in a very bad spot. So I believe that they have no choice but to put titles for the Zelda 35th anniversary on a cooldown, where we'll only get it for a select few months, probably until March 31st of 2022. And that's gonna suck, because that means we can pretty much guarantee we're not getting any long-term games except for the Skyward Sword HD. And I don't think I'm picking up Skyward Sword HD, but I would pick up the collection of games. And so what other things are they going to do to make the 35th anniversary for Zelda feel less dead? I only have one video on my channel of Breath of the Wild, but Breath of the Wild sticks as my top favorite video game of all time. And it's not because of the story. I love my stories. My RPGs, I love them. But Breath of the Wild's not an RPG. I love Breath of the Wild, and I'll get into it in a future video of the Zypher Zone. I'll talk about it. But Breath of the Wild 2 is something I'm really looking forward to, which is why I'm really looking forward to Breath of the Wild 2. Breath of the Wild 2 having a nittier and grittier story, and having a more story-focused game as a whole in another open world. there's just what's not to be excited about. When I first saw the trailer for Breath of the Wild 2, I honestly didn't have any interest into it. It wasn't until I saw Link and Zelda for the first time is when I, like, literally got so excited. Because I loved Breath of the Wild, and I think at that time, I still had not played the game because I was only some 7 months into having my first Switch. I didn't get the game until I got it from a friend, like, a month later. And so, Breath of the Wild 2, I was excited for it, even though I had never played Breath of the Wild 1. And so after I got Breath of the Wild 1, I played through it, and then my mind went back to Breath of the Wild 2. And people were talking about how they thought that 2021 was the best time for Breath of the Wild 2, because of the 35th anniversary, this, that, and the other thing. So, here I am talking about it. Are they going to do it? Are we getting Breath of the Wild 2 this year for the 35th anniversary? I mean, let's talk about it. Let's look into it. So I might be wrong on my numbers here, but Breath of the Wild's first gameplay or / story trailer released E3 of 2016, for it to be officially released on May 3rd, March 3rd, one of those, of 2017, when the Switch released. That gives us some 6, 7, 8, 9 months in between there. I'd have to look it up. I don't want to. It's midnight. I'm tired. 9 months in between that gameplay reveal and the release. How long do we have that for now? For, let's say we got our gameplay trailer the same time as we got the gameplay trailer for Breath of the Wild 1, E3 of 2021. That means if we keep the same time frame as Breath of the Wild 1, we're going to get a similar time frame for Breath of the Wild 2, and we're going to get our release in March of 2022. That puts it at the very end of the Zelda 35th anniversary, which means it's going to be the exact same situation as the game that just released for Mario, Bowser's Fury. Super Mario 3D World Bowser's Fury released February 12th of this year, and that was along the latter half of the Mario 35th anniversary. So let's say we had Breath of the Wild 2 at the same time of the year for next year, February, January, or maybe even March. It's still technically in the range of the 35th anniversary for Zelda, so technically it could count as a 35th anniversary title. It would not be bad, and it definitely wouldn't be a limited release, which means that the 35th anniversary would have a really good title, a new title to release as for the 35th anniversary for Zelda. And it still connects with the, let's say we get our gameplay reveal through E3 of this year. So we get our gameplay reveal, our story trailer at E3, some 6 to 9 months later, in early 2022, we get the release, and it's all within the 35th anniversary. That can release, that can work. We can get Breath of the Wild 2, and still have the Legend of Zelda, the thingies, you know, all the games, and we can get all of that, and it could all count toward the 35th anniversary. So that brings us back to our first question. And by question, I mean possibility. Zelda might die. I wasn't joking. I'm still not. Well, not literally die, so technically I am joking, but you get what I'm talking about. Mario died, right? So is Zelda gonna die again? I don't think so. I think this is a much better opportunity than it was back at the Mario 35th anniversary, because Zelda has a new title. Zelda has Breath of the Wild 2, and we have a very strong possibility of Breath of the Wild 2 getting its trailer during E3, which goes along with what Miyamoto, or Ishiguma, Japanese name guy, said about news. He said later this year. We're not talking any late this year, but E3. We could do that. So we get the gameplay, the reveal and whatnot, or the trailer, and we have the 35th anniversary, those few games would trickle down and we could play them to hold us off until the beginning of next year, where we can play the Breath of the Wild 2. And then that's how we end off our Zelda 35th anniversary. I keep saying Mario! Basically, I don't think we're screwed. I don't think it's going to be nearly as bad. Because even though we will most likely lose our Zelda collage of games, our Zelda All-Stars, it's going to be okay because we'll have all these other games we can play. Sure, it's going to hurt like the bitch to lose some of our great games, the Zelda 3D All-Stars, I keep saying Mario, but I mean, we're gonna get Skyward Sword. We're just gonna have the whole area of time to buy the Zelda All-Stars, and we're gonna get Breath of the Wild 2. And I'm probably only saying it's okay because I love Breath of the Wild, and I cannot wait for Breath of the Wild 2. We only had a few months to wait for the 3D World Bowser's Fury. So when you think about it, there's a lot more build up to Breath of the Wild 2 than there was for the main game for Mario 3D All-Stars. And that's why I think Zelda's not gonna die. Zelda's just gonna get a kick in the ass. It's gonna hurt losing a great possible title, but we got this big ass title coming right after. It's gonna work out. Zelda's gonna have a great year this year. And even though we've got nothing yet, because Nintendo sucks balls, it's gonna get better. And that's my theory. That's my 2 cents. I'm gonna leave it at that. I don't know how I'm gonna finish this video. Probably gonna do it like this. I really did this video differently than all of my other videos. Starting back with the Pokemon Sword and Shield videos, where I literally put the shit icons on top of the logos, and I didn't like those games. I really didn't. I made that clear. And I decided to make videos on that. It only got 5 views, like literally just 5. But it set the groundwork for me talking to you guys, and people actually subscribed for that. And so I kept it going. About the next day, I released the one about Play-Doh Pokemon. 10 views, or 12 views, something like that. And then yesterday, or the day before, I released the video about Legends Arceus. I think that worked. I mean, Legends Arceus already has some 40 views, something like that. Yeah. My videos are doing great. And so, today's video is very different. It's not no solid reaction to the footage you saw on screen. I intentionally recorded differently, with the intention of putting gameplay and other footage into the video. And it's a test. I want to see if it works. For everybody that have watched my videos, I want to thank you so much for putting your time out to watch what I've created. Today's video is what I should have done earlier today before I went to work, but I didn't. So I just had time to plan it out a little bit. But this video means a lot more to me than the other videos, because it sets the groundwork for what I can do in the future. Given just a little bit of time and the end of a long day of energy, probably look tired. I don't know yet. I haven't edited the video yet. It's just, I think YouTube's gonna work out. It's gonna be a hard road, I know, but for all of you guys subscribing, for everything you guys are doing, thank you. This just means a lot to be able to work towards something more than flipping burgers and making sandwiches and taking orders. Fast food, Wendy's, it's fine. But my life is video games. My life is creation. I like making stories. I like making all these things. One day, I hope to share them with the world. My only key to do that is YouTube. Get out to the branch of people, to all the people in the world. And this marks the beginning of this journey, where I'll be trying my damnedest to keep videos going every other day until eventually I hit that one video, that one moment, that one spark where my videos can actually hit and I can actually do something. So thank you guys again. Please subscribe. hit a like on the video, send it to people. Please do everything you can, because I'm getting there. I'm working at it. Thank you for watching, everybody. I'm out.